September 8, 2011. Where were you and what were you doing during the Great San Diego Blackout? What did you learn about preparedness from it? And what if a large-scale disaster were to knock the power out for more than 30 days? Are you ready?
The worst may be yet to come. Scientists say there is a 99% chance a major quake will hit California in the next 30 years. And as Ben Tracy reports, experts are already asking, are we ready?
A recent article in the Los Angeles Times shares earthquake expert Thomas Jordan's concern. His article is titled, "Overdue and Unprepared for the Big One." He says the San Andreas Fault could shake any day now, but Southern California behaves as if it will never happen.
Basically, the San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded and ready to rumble.
Thomas Jordan is director of the Southern California Earthquake Center.
As a seismologist, of course, the longer we go without a big earthquake, the more nervous I get.
With prep counts, the first step to creating an effective disaster plan, especially for your family, is understanding what you're going to be faced with after a large disaster hits. No two disasters are exactly alike, and as it pertains to earthquakes, and especially pertaining to the San Andreas earthquake that has the potential of striking here on the West Coast, people will be faced with some very serious disruptions and shortages with food, water, and also power outages. And to really understand what you're preparing for, you need to understand fully what the fallout is going to be once that disaster hits.
That's going to break the freeways apart, very likely take down some freeway bridges. It's going to offset and sever the aqueducts that bring the water to us. It's going to break the natural gas pipelines that deliver the natural gas to us. It's going to knock down power lines. It's going to have a very heavy effect on infrastructure.
The state of California, in connection with the Great California Shakeout, highlights the potential outcome of a major earthquake triggered by the San Andreas Fault.
It's a sunny morning in Southern California. Across the region, 7.5 million people are busy at work. Several 100,000 of them are commuting to jobs in different counties, far from where they live. Over 200,000 commuters work and reside on opposite sides of the San Andreas Fault. Today, these families and many others across the region will be separated. 1,800 people will die. 53,000 people will be injured, and $213 billion in damage will occur, shaking nearly 1,500 buildings collapse. Infrastructure is severely compromised, and 300,000 buildings suffer significant damage. Many of the lifelines of Southern California have been disrupted. A large number of people are trapped in collapsed buildings. Over 1,600 fires start, some turning into super conflagrations. Millions of people are trying to use their phones, causing the system to become overloaded. In the months ahead, there will be tens of thousands of aftershocks. No water for weeks or months, and no electricity. Traveling from point to point within the city will be extremely difficult, and 255,000 people will be displaced from their homes. We are all in this together. We will suffer the consequences if we don't do our part right now. How quickly life gets back to normal after this disaster is up to you and those around you.
During a Prep Count seminar, we highlight video interviews with survivors of big disasters, like Hurricane Sandy. Learn firsthand what these people experienced and what advice they would give in helping others prepare.
The bottom line is that it can happen to you. And when it does happen, you're not prepared. You may think you're prepared, but you're never really prepared to go 2 weeks without power. 2 weeks without power means no fuel from the gas stations. It means your refrigerators, no matter how well they were stocked, and we had extra frozen, extra ice in our freezer that we were rotating through our fridge to try to keep things cool. 2 weeks you can't last. That's all there is to it.
When you come to our seminar, there are 3 critical things that you're going to learn by attending. First is a clear understanding of what happens after a big disaster in your area and what will happen to you and your family. The second part is you're going to get a checklist. That checklist is going to help you determine what you're supposed to do before, during, and after a disaster. The third thing is an understanding of what you're supposed to do for a long-term power outage and how to handle long-term food and water shortages.
It was exceptional. We probably had more at that particular seminar than we had on a number of other functions that we had going on at that particular time. So we had a great evening, and the presentation was mind-boggling. I mean, a lot of people were getting information that they hadn't even heard of before, especially when it relates to both earthquakes and tsunamis and some of the difficulties that we could have in the way of disasters in this area.